and a good evening to you. I greet you with Jesus' joy. For those joining me for the first time, I'm Ambassador Susan Johnson Cook. Many call me Ambassador Sujay, and it is my honor to be with you tonight and every Sunday. I want to thank all of you who have tuned in to my Live with Sujay on YouTube.com. And for the month of July, we're going to be having reruns, so you can go up to youtube.com/Ambassador Sujay and see all of the episodes on women who are in business and the Black Lives Matter movement, and on mental health and suicide prevention and women in ministry speaking out. Please join us there from any day that's important for you. But today I want to begin with prayer. God, we thank you and we praise you for this another Sunday. We give your name the glory, the honor, and the highest praise. Bless everyone under the sound of my voice, those who will hear it in the present or in the future. And we give your name the praise. Amen. So first I want to begin with saying to the King family, I just heard from Andrea and Martin and your family and Elder Bernice and Alvita and Angela and all the King offspring and cousins, and to all of the children of the civil rights movement, the Abernathys and all those, Donzale, all those I've met and don't know and do know, and certainly to all of those who walked beside Congressman John Lewis and Dr. C.T. Vivian. Certainly they will be sorely missed, but I feel your pain today. I met them with my other mother, the Honorable Coretta Scott King. I met all of you, and I met them in social and private and in faith settings. And so our condolences to you, because I know you knew them and walked with them personally. We lost two giants, one at the beginning of a day and one at the end of the same day. And we certainly bless God for having had them in our lives and in the history of America. So I first want to say to those who are part of the USA tonight that we did lose two giants. And, one we knew from Bloody Sunday, but today is a Sunday with Sujay, and we're reflecting on the lives of Dr. C.T. Vivian and Dr. John Lewis. I think many of you know that I love to do alliteration. And so the first S is, their names are well spoken of. And for us to live such a life that our lives will be well spoken of. I used to spend summers in the South, and I think many of you know that my grandparents would have me in the South, and they were like, you carry, at that time it was the Fisher family name. And so everything that you do represents us. You come from the Fishers. You're a descendant of the Fishers. And when you're out there, we want your name to be well spoken of. And so the first thing about Dr. C.T. Vivian and Congressman John Lewis is that every report is their names are well spoken of. And so I want to just remind you that that's one of the things we want to live such a life. Hey, Deb and Adrian and Selma and Shelley. But the next S is that they were servant leaders, that they understood very clearly that they had a mission and assignment. Some of us get just one assignment in life. They had one continuing one, from the civil rights to voting rights, from the floors of Congress. It was my pleasure to meet both of them in Atlanta for the first time. I was a White House fellow. I was best friends with Yolanda King. And so one of the former fellows, Ron Quincy, was working for Mrs. Coretta Scott King. And when my class came down, the class of 93, 94, he had arranged for us to sit personally with Mrs. King and ask her all the questions we've ever wanted to ask about women in the movement. But he also made arrangements for us to meet with Congressman John Lewis. And Congressman Lewis was so warm and personable. He gave us each a bag of Georgia peanuts. We were in his office, and he spent time with us, and he was not in a rush. We had a half an hour with him, but he didn't look at the clock, and he didn't rush us and was not in a rush. So that was my first meeting of him. Then my second meeting was with both of them at the White House, when many clergy met with President Obama, the first black president, and we're sitting around the table, and it was really my first time up and close with Dr. C.T. Vivian, even though I had met Congressman Lewis before, and just such a gentleman giant. To be able to be strong in terms of voice, but also gentle in terms of approach. And I learned some things about leadership, that not everyone has to be on their soapbox, but sometimes you're one who gently nudges it along. And then the third time that I met Congressman Lewis was on Delta Airlines. And it was my last flight as a sitting U.S. ambassador. We're ambassadors for life, but my last flight as a sitting U.S. ambassador, and I was coming back from Atlanta, and I was in first class that particular day, and there was Congressman Lewis in first class, and there was a little boy, not African American, who was sitting in first class. And that particular day, Delta Airlines had a picture on the front cover of Congressman Lewis. And Congressman Lewis was there, and as we got off the flight, I spoke to him, and he always called me Madam Ambassador. Never first name familiar, he always Madam Ambassador. And I said, Congressman Lewis, I'm so fascinated, was so excited to see you on the cover of the airline magazine. I said, and there was a young boy who kept looking at you, and he longingly wanted to ask if he could get your autograph. And without rushing and without hesitation, he said, surely. And so Congressman Lewis wrote on the magazine, but then he also had his new book for children about civil rights, and he also gave him a copy and me a personalized copy. And he was just such a gentleman. The very last time I saw him was at the Congressional Black Caucus last year, the prayer breakfast. And everyone was swarming him like bees, and they wanted to be close to him and get close and personal and take pictures. And people were pulling on him, and without fledgling, he stood there, he took a picture with everyone who was waiting and wanted to do it. So that's the kind of men that I knew. And then, of course, seeing both of them receive the Presidential Medal during the tenure that I was there as U.S. Ambassador was a highlight of my life. So we speak well of their names. They were servant leaders. They understood their mission. And when I was ambassador, one of the prayers that I took was the prayer of Jabez from 1 Chronicles 4. And in the King James Version, it says, Lord, increase my territory. But in the contemporary English version, it said, Lord, increase my opportunities that I might touch more lives for you. Not that I might get more glory, but that you might get more glory. And I think that that's what I carried with me all over the world. And I think that's the kind of life that both Dr. Vivian and Congressman Lewis exemplified. God, that you might get more glory. I never saw them being egocentric. It never was about them. It was always about him. And so they were servant leaders. But the next S is sacrifice. That a true leader sacrifices even their lives for others. We know something about that in the life of Jesus Christ, but we saw it embodied in the human flesh in both Dr. C.T. Vivian and Congressman Lewis. Congressman Lewis was arrested some 50 times, hit in the head, not even sure on the Pettus Bridge whether he would live or die, dogs on them, buses exploded around them for being freedom fighters. But he never stopped because he understood that there was a cause bigger than him. And he also said that you need to vote because that's the biggest and the best nonviolent tool we have. And we need to vote. We have a year this year that we need to vote. If you never voted before this year, register and make sure you can vote. And so their lives were filled with sacrifice, with servanthood. We speak well of their names. They went beyond the ordinary. And a true leader, we want to make sure we try not to sacrifice our family or our friends, but ultimately there's an assignment and a mission that they're going towards. And the final S is soul force. I heard an interview with Andy Young, who was, congressman. He was the UN ambassador. He was the mayor of Atlanta, but he was a friend of both Dr. Vivian and Congressman Lewis. And in the documentary that talked about Dr. Lewis, he said he was a soul force. Congressman Lewis, a soul force, meaning that his mind and spirit was strong, but he had something deeper, that he was motivated, propelled by his soul. And on this Sunday with Sujay, I'm praying that everyone here operates from soul force, that you will understand that we are mind, body, but we are also souls. And we serve a Savior who died for us. And if we can operate out of that soul force, then we are unstoppable, we're unflappable, we're unmovable. And like they sang in the freedom songs, ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. My final picture of him alive, Congressman Lewis, was him standing beside Mayor Muriel Bowser, who has done an outstanding job as mayor of Washington, D.C. And they had just painted the Black Lives Matter mural. And so here you have someone who is a generation or two away from Congressman Lewis, standing there with this gentle giant, member of the Congressional Black Caucus, where they honored him a couple of years ago with the Living Legend Award and Lifetime Achievement Award. And you have them standing side by side, Mayor Muriel Bowser, Congressman John Lewis, two different generations, but standing there for the cause. That's the picture I always want to remember. That it does not matter how old or how young you are, protesters keep marching. But those of us who are at the table don't stop, because many marched. Congressman Lewis marched. Dr. C.T. Vivian, Martin Luther King marched so that we could get to the tables we're at. But once we're there, use your influence and use your impact to make a difference for the generations who are marching now and who shall follow. I bless God for your sharing with me tonight, and I am so thankful that I got to meet two men who made a difference. I want to thank Coretta Scott King, Mrs. Coretta Scott King and Yolanda King for introducing me to these gentle giants. And again, my condolences to all the children of the King family and of the movement who you grew up with them as your extended family. And to our nation, we have lost two awesome giants. But their work has ended, and it's now time for us to take our turn. What difference will you make? Will they speak good of your name? Are you a servant leader serving our communities and our nation? Are you willing to sacrifice and do what it takes to get the job done? And are you a soul force? This has been another Sunday with Sujay in the USA. Thank you for joining me. I see all the names there. God bless you. Clive Neal and Anthony Suber and Stephen Davis. And all of you. God bless you, and God bless America.